You have so many great books. So tell us the 8 Unbreakable Rules for Business Startup Success. So this podcast is directed toward a lot of entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
I would say it's always directed toward entrepreneurs. I'm sure there's some people who aren't, but might be interested. And a lot of startups pre-6-figure, beyond. So share some of your tips and wealth, because you have a lot of it.
First thing, like in regarding, my unbreakable rules, is first thing is you need to know why you want to be an entrepreneur in the first place. And that's a very simple thing, but your why will motivate you. Example, my daughter's a school teacher. She has zero interest in anything entrepreneurship. Okay. So why would she? There's no reason for her. There's nothing wrong with being an employee. I mean, I think as an entrepreneur, you kind of really got to love flexibility of schedule. You really got to probably be financially driven. Okay. You got to have kind of an independent, be very competitive. I mean, there's certain characteristics that you're probably more inclined to have.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, I would bet on a person over an idea any day of the week. Ideas are a dime a dozen. Okay. I get a DM every day about some great idea. I go, it means nothing to me. Show me the person who has the idea. And then we'll start maybe putting the two together and seeing and that's the same thing with Shark Tank. They get the idea and then they start beating down on the person who has it because they want to vet the person.
Yeah.
Can you lead, can you get this idea to the goal line? So I think the first unbreakable rule is you need to decide why you want to be an entrepreneur in the first place. And then you need to develop the skills, because they can all be learned, or developed, that an entrepreneur has. I mean, they're very competitive, highly driven, workaholics to get it there. Risk takers, but not stupid risk takers. They want calculated risk, typically have the ability to communicate well, get people on their team, get people excited. I mean, as a general rule, these are typical, in other words, my point, if you're going to be like super quiet, not competitive, not very social, I don't know how you're going to build a successful company.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll feel like an uphill battle the whole time.
Exactly. So I think there's certain characteristics statistically that entrepreneurs have. So that was kind of my first rule.
Okay.
And then the second one, I think passion is an entrepreneur's mistress. And let me share that with you, because I'm passionate about branding. I love it. But the actual business or industry I'm in doesn't really move the needle for me. I just want it to be a good, profitable idea. The point is, I love golf. It doesn't mean I start a driving range. Your idea, first and foremost, has to pass the law of profit. Is it a profitable idea? I don't care that you love running. It doesn't mean you start a running shop. Every passion is not necessarily a good business idea. Okay. And that's the most important thing. Your idea, first and foremost, needs to be a profitable idea. There needs to be a marketplace wanting it and willing to pay for it. Until you vet that part of it, you may have a bad idea, and that's an unbreakable rule.
Yeah. It ties back to that thing you were saying in the beginning where, it's like, if you have that great idea, but then no one else cares about it, like it's never going to get off the ground. And so you might be thinking like, this is a great idea in my mind. I'm super passionate about it, but you've got to vet this. Will you give, before you go to number 3, will you give listeners a little bit of an idea of how to vet it?
Yeah. I mean, the general idea on vetting an idea, typically ideas fall into these categories as a rule for a business. Number one is they solve a problem. They just do. So if you look at, like, if you listen to the radio, the guy gets on there about getting you out of a timeshare. Okay. Or you had tax problems. You have over 10,000 in tax. You have problems sleeping. Okay. Low energy, 5-hour energy. Typically Tommy John underwear, Third Love. You can go all the way down. Typically somebody experienced a problem that they felt like other people probably had. And that, and they probably tested that. I would beta test it. And then they solved it and it became a business. All my businesses were kind of based on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So they solve a problem. They meet a need. Groceries, it meets a need. An automobile, it meets a need. You need to get your tires rotated. It meets a need. There's needs that they're just very general. It could be hanging Christmas lights on your house. It could be getting your gutters cleaned. It could be getting your lawn mowed. It doesn't have to be sexy.
Yeah.
Adult care. I have older parents right now, paying people to stop by and make sure they're okay and whatever, take them to medical appointment. You can go on and on. It's so simple. It just meets a need. Tutoring. You can go on and on and on. The next level is it typically satisfies a desire. It's the next level. Example, you have a car and then you have a Mercedes. Mercedes, typically a person who buys a Mercedes, it's status, it's image, and they want something that's great. There's a difference between a Timex and a Rolex.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between a certain vacation and a sandals vacation.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that. There's different tiers. Again, you have wants, need, and then you have your needs, and then you have your wants. And then finally, if you can entertain, get eyeballs on you, get listeners, you can have a business. You monetize it. The Kardashians all the way down through YouTube people and all that. So typically your businesses real quickly fall into those 4 boxes, I have found.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. I love actionable and useful tips
Yeah.
for listeners. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Number 3.
You need to plan for success. You need to do a business plan. It doesn't have to be huge. I made my son do one, and that's why I wrote my book, The World's Greatest Business Plan, because behind me I have like 10 books. That's the first page of Amazon. All their books on business plans is right behind me. The one was worse than the next. They were like dissertations. They asked questions that had nothing to do with the startup. It just didn't make any sense to me. So, but you got to have some general plan. And the illustration I use is this: if I gave you $300,000 and I said, hey, go build a house,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you money to go, to have a house, build a house. You would not run off to Lowe's or Home Depot and start buying wood. You wouldn't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, you just would never. If I even said to you, here's $5,000, I'm going to pay for you to go on vacation, you probably wouldn't get in your car right away and go on it. You would go, do I want a winter or do I want a summer vacation? Do we want to go to Disney World? Do we want to go out west? Whatever. Do we want to go overseas? We want to see another. My point is, put as much time as you would into a vacation, into planning your business. I mean, you got to do some planning.
To listen to the full episode, head on over to nfacoaching.com, hit the podcast link, and it'll take you to all of the full episodes. And go ahead and leave some comments. I'd love to hear from you to know how these inspirational interviews, tips, and tools are impacting you in your life and business. And be sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on any of the Max Potential Habits episodes.